All right, here we are again. It is Wednesday, April 17th, the year 2024. And I am here again with Sammy. And this is, I believe, part 6 of our family history podcast. It's part of the show called Time, but it seems like the last several episodes have been with Sammy and what's been going on over the span of time for what he remembers of his side of the family. And here we are again. So I believe, welcome.
Thank you.
So I believe last time we left off when you told some very interesting stories of how you first met your wife, my mom, Dinna. And we're in 1970 at this point? What year are we in?
I believe it was fall of 1970.
Okay.
And that's when it all started.
Sounds wonderful. Okay, so you're in university. It's the fall of 1970. You met on a blind date. You met Dinna on a blind date. And you wound up hanging out with friends, with Dinna.
Yeah, it wasn't on the same day. I think the first time we just talked a bit, and when she went back to dormitory where she lived from university, I went with her. I walked her home.
That's very gentlemanly of you.
Well, it was really the acceptable way of behavior, at least the one I knew about.
Sure.
The one I grew up with.
So where'd you learn all this? Movies, books?
No, just honestly, I don't know. Maybe movies. I don't think it was books. Maybe just seeing what's happening around me in the same situation, how people behave in general.
Sure. So how did you and Dinna keep in touch over the next few months or few weeks or months of your courtship?
Well, usually before we parted, we set up a time and place for the next time we meet.
Okay, that's quite different than today.
It is quite different because communication was really not that easy. We had a phone. Actually, I'm not sure if we had a phone at that time in our apartment, but she lived in dormitory on, I think it was a 4th floor. Maybe, about 4th floor. And she didn't have a phone, obviously. Her phone was at the front desk. Sometimes I could call and leave a message, but there was no guarantee she was getting it. So we usually set up time and place for the next time we meet.
So what did your friends think of Dinna? Did you guys talk about that sort of thing? Because they met her the first day you met her, right?
No, not the first day. Like I said, I might have been confused when I spoke about it last time. The first time we did not meet with any friends or anything like that.
Okay.
We just talk a bit, walk a bit along the Nevsky, and then took subway to get to her place where she lived, dormitory from university. But when we met the next time, that's when I took her to meet friends of ours, and that's when she met them first time. As far as I know, we've been impressed positively, but we never really spoke about it.
She left a positive impression on your friends?
I would think so.
You guys didn't talk about it, though?
Not really. We didn't discuss those details, really.
No? That's not how you and your friends did it?
No, not at that time, because one of my friends, well, both of friends were dating at the time, so it was just assumed that there was no negative impression or anything like that when it's already good.
All right. So you guys kept in touch by making plans for the next time you meet, the previous time you meet, that sort of thing. So how long did you guys date for before you decided or you realized that this might be someone you want to get more serious with? How long did that take?
It did not take that long. I think it took maybe a couple of months, 3 months at the most. when I thought that she is the one for me.
Okay.
And I guess she agreed because we're still together.
That's fair. Yeah. How many years has it been? 53?
Well, we got married in February of 71. So it's, this February it was 53 years.
53 years. Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So was she also on board right away, or did she take some convincing?
No, I believe she was on board right away. She did not think when I proposed.
Okay. So when did you propose?
I don't remember exact date.
How many months after you guys met, roughly?
Like I said, about 2.5 to 3 months at the most.
2.5 to 3 months.
Yeah.
You work fast.
Well,
or was that just the way of the times?
it was a way of the times, and I don't know. It just felt right at the time. So I think the calendar count didn't really come into play.
Sure. Can't argue with that. Okay. So you proposed 2-3 months later, and she didn't have to think about it long and said yes.
Yes.
And then what?
When we arranged to travel to meet her family, her parents, we still lived in Gomel, and I believe that's what happened. We went in the middle of winter. It was cold, well, cool. Unfortunately, her father was in the hospital at the time, but we still got to meet him. And I met her mom and her cousins. We stayed there just a few days before we had to go back to Leningrad.
So you went there in the winter of 70, or was this already
No, I believe
71?
I believe it was either January or either December of 70 or January of 71. I can't remember. Remember it 53 years ago.
Sure. So what was your impression? So did you actually meet her father? Tell me a bit more about her family, the people you met.
I met her
What do you
father.
remember?
I met her mom, met her father, met her cousins, which you probably know.
Give me some names.
Cousin Diba and Misha.
I know those two.
I know you do. That was about it. That was all of her family. Well, I met her aunts, her mom's sister. We still lived in the same house, though we had different parts of the house for themselves. So it was 3 sisters with 4 kids and us.
And did you meet Dinna?
Yes, I believe I did. Absolutely. She was still there.
Yeah, so Dinna is my great-grandmother on Dinna's side. So,
Yes.
So she would have been Dinna's grandmother.
Yes, she
and
was.
Rose's mother.
Yes.
Okay. How old would she have been at the time? Because she was really old when I met her a few years after that.
Well, she was, I believe, in late 60s at the time.
Oh, I thought she was older.
So did I, but late 60s, early 70s, but she was not old by the modern standards of we familiar with here, but she did not look young.
Okay. She had a rough life?
I believe she did, because she went through the war. She lost her husband during the war. She was sent to evacuation with 3 daughters, way to the east part of Russia. Spent most of the time.
She was evacuated east during World War II when the Germans were invading.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know what month, but I think it was shortly after the start of the war, because the German occupied Belarus pretty quick.
Okay.
So my guess it would be late summer, maybe fall of 1941.
This sounds like a story for when I interview Dinna.
Probably will be, because
show.
she definitely knows more about it than I do.
Okay.
I know we came back, I believe, in 1944, or her grandma and her 3 daughters came back in 1944. The house was still there, but it wasn't in very good shape from what I've heard. But like I said, your mom will probably tell you much more about it.
Yeah.
because she grew up in that house.
Yeah, I've spent summers in that house for a few summers, if I recall. All
Yes,
right.
you did.
All right. So you met the parents, you even met a grandparent. Did they approve of you? Was there any approvals at all? Or was it just a meet and greet and see you later? What did they think about the impending wedding?
I don't know because wedding wasn't planned yet as far as the days go.
Okay.
But we knew we getting married. We knew that we didn't have any dates yet or any place yet. It wasn't that easy to organize. But I don't think there was any objections from her parents.
There's no
Side-
objections. Well, that's a good sign. So you met the parents, no objections, no date set yet, even though it happened in less than 2 months after that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what did you guys do after your Gomel trip? Was there anything notable? Did you go see the city at all, or was it just to meet family?
Well, not much of a city. It was winter. It was covered in snow. If we went to a city, it probably was once just to see around. But there was not much to see, at least I don't recall being impressed with anything I saw because I don't think I even seen much.
Did you, so I recall their source of water was a pump at the end of the street.
Yes.
So did they make you go pump this thing in winter?
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
all did. I mean, all the neighbors did that, and I brought some water into the house and with
Okay.
frozen pump.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that from when I was a kid. I guess, yeah, if you want water, you got to go to the pump,
Yeah.
as the famous saying goes. I just made that up. There's no famous saying. Okay. So you went and met the family. You came back to Leningrad. It sounds like that time of year you were still in the middle of a school semester.
Yes, I was, but we also had to start planning our wedding, the reception, and all the official things we had to do because we have to register, we have to sign up marriage agreement. We don't know what it's called nowadays.
What was it called back then? Do you remember? What would it be in Russian?
I can't recall what it's called. We just have to book a place where it's actually ceremony took place, which I have some pictures from.
Yeah, I was actually going to use one of those photos for the cover for this episode. There's some really great black and whites. So what was the building called that you wound up getting married in? Because it was quite a fancy building.
Well, there was a couple of maybe few places where that official ceremony took place. We wanted to find the best, and that was the top. It was always called Palace of Marriage.
It's called the Palace of Marriage?
Yes.
What was it called in Russian?
Центральный ЗАГС,
Okay.
if it tells you anything.
It doesn't.
But it was, actually in Russian it was called Дворец бракосочетаний, which means Palace of Marriage.
Okay. And where is it located in St.
It was
Petersburg?
located on the side of the Neva River. It's obviously one of the old palaces which belonged to some nobility. It's before the revolution. That's all I know. It obviously was converted to be some of the state office buildings which dealt with marriage certificates.
So you booked the palace,
Yes.
and
I had
you invited some friends.
Well, booked the palace, invited some friends. We also had to book a place where that wedding reception takes place, which took a bit of doing, but we found one.
So where was the reception after the ceremony?
The reception was in cafeteria, quite a distance from where that palace was, but everybody made it there.
How would people have gotten around?
Public transport or taxi? We took taxi
Yeah.
as a privileged newlyweds. And some people also did take taxis. Some people took public transport because nobody had a car.
Right. Very cool. And how did the wedding go? Did it go off without a hitch, or was there some drama?
I don't remember any drama. Nobody got drunk.
Okay.
And nobody got
No fights?
no fights. It wasn't a Russian wedding.
Okay.
which usually doesn't consider to be proper wedding if there's no fight involved.
So, what kind of ceremony was it exactly? Was it pretty? I'm assuming it wasn't super or at all religious of any kind.
Absolutely not. It was basically an official presiding over us, saying the marriage vows and signing the paper.
So it was a very Soviet procedure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Were there any other options, or was that pretty much the only option back then?
That was the ceremony was the same, except you may not have to book that specific place, but you could go in any office which dealt with marriage certificates and sign the papers right there. All you needed, I think, is a couple of witnesses.
Okay. So the marriage and ceremony the ceremony and the reception went off without a hitch. Was there a after party as well, or is that part like the ceremony was followed by the reception / party?
Yeah. The ceremony was followed by reception / party. We had the orchestra booked.
Oh.
Had music. Obviously, I'm not a big dancer, neither is your mom. But I think everybody had a good time at the end of the day.
Like a full classical music ensemble sort of thing?
I think we played not classical music, but we played some popular songs. We played some dancing music.
Was it an electric band, or was it classical instruments?
No, I believe it was a mix between the two.
A mix between the two.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you guys are married. Was a honeymoon a thing that people did back then, or was it just back to work?
No, just back to work. Honeymoon was not something a lot of people did, or many people did at all. There wasn't too many places to go for a honeymoon. As you know, the Soviet Union was practically closed. The only place people go on vacation was Black Sea area or Caucasian mountain area. And obviously in wintertime there was nothing to do there.
Sure.
Plus, I don't think I had a time off work at the time.
Right. And you had school.
I had school.
And so did Dinna.
And so Dinna had school, so I was just finishing the last year at university.
It was her last year as well?
Yes.
Was she working at the time?
No, she was full-time student.
She was full-time student.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she graduated at the late spring, early summer of 1971. So she was getting prepared for the final exams and tests and all that stuff.
Okay, so after you guys are married, where did you live?
She moved with me on to Rakova.
She moved in with you on the place that I was born in?
Yes.
Okay, and who else was living there at the time?
Well, it was a communal apartment. If you're asking about the second room, which my father used to live in, he already moved out to the room with his new wife, to a different place with his new wife.
Okay, so he moved out of that apartment.
Out of a communal apartment,
Right.
out of a room, yes.
Right.
So we basically had 2 rooms to ourselves.
Okay, and how long before you guys got married did he move out?
Honestly,
Was it months before, or was it much longer before?
No, I think it was way before. Well, he was living in between, but once we got married, he was quite often staying in that little room or second room. But once he got married, he moved out for good. But he spent most of the time with Maria Yakovlevna place, if not all the time. He very seldom was coming over here after he moved out.
Sure. Okay. So you guys have your own place. You're sharing it with another 1 or 2 families?
1, 2, 3 families, actually.
So there are 4 families in the communal apartment total?
Yeah, which is actually considered to be small,
That's
relatively speaking.
And again, you shared a kitchen and a bathroom
Yes.
with 4 families?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you guys, you're married, you're in your own apartment, well, sharing an apartment with 3 other families. You guys are both graduating that spring/summer.
Well, your mom did, my wife did. I'm still in school for another few years.
Oh, I thought you said it was your last year.
No, it was your mom's last year.
Ah, it was Dinna's last year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she graduated in summer of 71.
Okay. So then, when did you guys start talking about having kids?
Well, we didn't really talk about it. It just happened. You happened.
I did?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so there wasn't much communication about it.
No, it wasn't much of discussion or decision. It just happened.
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, I was born that November
Yes.
in 1971.
Yes.
Roughly how many months after your wedding?
It's about 9.
About 9 months. Okay. Interesting. And how long did it take to figure out that Dinna was pregnant? How did it work back then?
Well, we found out probably a few weeks after wedding. She just had to go. She felt like the women do, and she went to doctor to check it out, and she found out she was pregnant.
Okay. And were you guys super pumped about it, or was it surprising?
It was surprising, but it was a pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
We just had to figure out how we're gonna handle all that with 2 people in school.
Right. Okay. But you must have done the math, and Dinna would have been graduated by the time
Oh
I
yeah,
was
no,
born,
no,
but
we
you
knew.
were still going to be in school.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in school, but with full-time job and being in school.
Yep.
Yeah, we knew Dinna will be graduating and probably getting a job for a little while
Sure.
after school. After getting her diploma.
So she got a job before I was born?
Yes, she did.
And what kind of diploma did she get?
With teacher's certificate
She
or
got a
teacher's diploma.
Okay. And what kind of job did she get?
She became a teacher in school.
Like right away?
Not right away, because the school didn't start until September.
Right.
And it took a bit of pushing and shoving to actually get her a job, because she was pregnant by then, obviously, and quite a few schools didn't want to hire a teacher who's going to be there for a month or 2 and would leave for a year.
Sure.
Which is actually was against the law. I had to go and fight for it.
Okay. What does she teach?
Mathematics.
She taught math?
She taught basic math in the junior school. In beginner school. What do we call it? Grade 1, 2, 3.
Elementary school.
Elementary
I believe
school.
that's what it's called around here.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what she did. She actually graduated. Her subject was math in English. So she was supposed to be, if everything was going right, to work in school which teach kids certain subjects in English.
Okay. I'm assuming that wasn't most schools. This would have been special schools that taught English along with all the regular subjects.
Correct. That was very few schools like that. So find a job in such school was not easy, especially being of a Jewish descent.
Okay.
Which was also always a deciding factor.
So again, everyone, whenever she applied for work, her Jewish heritage was part of the documentation?
Of course it was. Because every time you applied for work, we're asking for your passport.
Right.
And your passport, Soviet passport, is different from passports in all other countries, had nationality listed in it.
Got it.
Ethnicity.
So why did Dinna decide English to be part of her part of the way that she taught? Because I'm assuming she could have just taught everything in Russian. What drew her to English?
Well, I think she liked English from school. She had a good English teacher when she was in school before the university. But I think she can tell you more about it herself.
Yeah, I'll definitely ask her about that. But you don't know of any like one thing that did it? She's just always fascinated by it? Was it kind of connected to when she used to listen to the BBC or whatever it
She
is?
did not listen to BBC or
No?
anything like that, but
That
she
was you?
liked, not only, her father used to listen sometimes.
Right.
I did not, because I have no means to listen to it.
I thought you were telling me that you guys were able to get some sort of illegal radio from outside the Soviet borders.
No. Well, it was possible to get, but you have to get a radio receiver which could be tuned to that wavelength. I didn't have any receivers to begin with.
But Dinna's father did.
Dinna's father did, and apparently he listened to places like BBC news forecast or Voice of America forecast, which we did actually in Russian for a Russian-speaking auditorium or audience. Sorry.
Interesting. Okay.
No, I didn't have any means, didn't have any money to buy such a receiver plus have it modified.
Right. Okay. So she's pregnant, you're working and doing school, or do you take the summers off from school?
Well, the summer was off, but it was only 2 months, I believe. So the first summer we spent together. She was pregnant, obviously. We tried to get by, and we did get by on my salary. Nothing really much comes to mind, but except she was looking for work after she got her diploma, and she was trying a few different schools. As a matter of fact, she was given a couple of schools she had to apply to, and she got a cold shoulder in 1 or 2 of them, and I had to go to authorities to tell them that, and I knew it was illegal. When being pregnant was not supposed to be detrimental to hiring a teacher, and finally it happened.
You had to insist.
Well, I went to actually union headquarters, trade union headquarters, who was supposed to be on the side of employees as such, and actually I had a sympathetic person who agreed with me that what schools did by refusing was not right, was illegal. So I don't know if she had to talk to them or how did it work, but
then Dinna got a job offer after that.
Dinna got accepted.
Do you remember the name of the school she worked at?
I don't remember the name of the school. I think schools did not have a name at the time, just have a number.
She had a school number, kind of like a precinct?
Yeah.
Do you remember the school number, or is that a question
No, I
for
do
Dinna?
not. Again, it's a question for Dinna.
Sure. So you guys got by that summer and that fall, and then I was born in November.
Yeah, you were born in November, and by Soviet law at the time, the mother of a child who was born had 1 year off work with being paid with a salary coming in.
Okay. That actually sounds quite reasonable. Which is surprising for the Soviet Union, I guess, or was that pretty normal, things like that?
Well, it was one of social benefits which actually did make sense. There was not many social benefits to begin with.
I guess your education was paid for, correct?
Yes, education was paid for.
Your university college education was paid for, yes.
Yes, the medical service was free. But it's kind of a trade-off, like in too many things you get what you pay for.
Right. It was free, but not necessarily good.
No, the system was corrupt.
The medical system.
Medical system was corrupt because the reason being the people who worked in that system could hardly get by on their salaries. They were not paid sufficiently enough to justify the years we spend in educating themselves.
Right. So the years it took and the extra work it took to become doctors was not justified by the salary, which was equal to that of garbage men or similar.
Probably even less. Not necessarily garbage man, but if you compare to worker in a factory, it was pretty well the same, if not less. Until you get up in the ranks to become a chief medical something of a
Sure.
clinic or.
So the motivation was there to take bribes, that sort of thing, or
It
what was the
wasn't
corruption?
motivation. It wasn't only motivation. It was a necessity for some people. I can tell you a very short story which affects you actually,
Sure.
if you remember. When you were 3 or 4 years old, I believe.
We're fast forwarding 3 or 4 years already.
I know, but just
do
the
it.
corruption
Let's do
thing. The family doctor, you could always have some colds or stuff like that. You were a little bit sick often. So the family doctor suggested that you need to remove
Tonsils.
Tonsils
Mm-hmm.
to avoid being sick all that often. So we took you to the top hospital, been waiting for a bit, took you to the very top hospital, in Children's Hospital in Leningrad, and you've been scheduled to have that procedure next day. And I came the next day, no. So when I asked why, you said your blood test show your hemoglobin level is too low. The next day the same. So when I spoke about it to my colleagues at work, I told them what the story is. That somebody asked me, did you pay the doctor? And that was an eye-opener for me. I was blindsided. So what do you mean? So when he told me what I mean, so I managed to scramble something like 25 rubles, if I remember correctly, put it in an envelope, went to the hospital, found the doctor, gave him that envelope, and your hemoglobin improved overnight because you had the surgery that next day. That was my first encounter with how things should work, because I was too idealistic to believe in the darker side of life.
So 25 rubles, what is that compared to a month's salary?
Well, my salary at the time was 120 rubles a month. Okay. So it's basically 1/5 of my monthly salary, 20%.
So you bribed the doctor with with a envelope full of cash, and miraculously, my hemoglobin levels skyrocketed to the point that I could have my tonsils removed.
Correct.
Okay. And how did the procedure go? Did I make it?
You did, because we were not allowed anywhere near you. The only times we could see you, it wasn't even after surgery, when we discharged you from the hospital.
I have vague recollections of something like that. I remember eating a lot of paper.
I don't know about paper.
I do. I remember being really hungry.
Yes.
And they didn't give me a lot of food because I think, as you just described, I was there for a lot more days than I expected to be. And I think I ate paper because they didn't give me, I kept asking for paper to draw on, and I just kept eating it. And I remember there was a lot of it was lined paper, so there was a lot of ink in the paper.
It's not an ink, but it's printed lines.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, whatever there. So the paper didn't taste delicious, but I needed some. I was just hungry.
You wanted something.
Yeah.
I know, because I try to, with traditionally when somebody goes in a hospital, people who visit usually bring some treats like some grapes or some fruits or something if you could find it. And I did get some grapes, bought them in the store, brought them to the hospital. Gave it to a front desk to pass on to you. I don't know if you ever got them.
Yeah, I definitely don't remember.
So
you weren't even allowed to visit me. Like, you couldn't even see me.
No, I visited you once before the surgery, I believe, but I was in. You were not always in separate room. I think there was about 4 or 5 other kids with you.
Yeah.
You just had your bed, and that was about it. I don't know what other kids were for, or what were before or after surgery, what was the status. I have no idea.
I definitely don't remember those details. Okay, so let's back it up again. So I'm born in November 71.
Yep.
What hospital was I born in?
You were born in again one of the top. It wasn't even a regular hospital. It was a birth hospital specifically dedicated to birth.
Sure.
It wasn't far from our home. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was one of the more famous places.
Yeah, didn't you tell me some famous people were born at, or some famous Russians or Soviets were born in this place?
I believe so, yes. I can't remember the names now, but it was one of the top, if not the top, hospital. We happened to live in a neighborhood, so that's how we ended up being able to get there.
Okay.
Your mom will tell you more about suffering and stuff she went through. The birth itself went fine, but she didn't have much attention. She was freezing by herself in the birth room. Whatever
After she gave birth, she
Yes.
didn't get a lot of medical attention or any kind of comforting. or
Not
anything.
really, and again for the same reason, because to me at the time was not. I didn't expect again that we had to pay somebody.
You hadn't learned your lessons that bribery was necessary.
Not
At
at
that
that
point.
time. It happened a few years later with you.
Right. Okay. So,
And again, I wasn't allowed in anyway.
right.
The first time I saw your mom and you after she gave you birth to you, when she was standing in the window on the fourth floor, and I was out on the street, and we just waved to each other.
That's the best that you can do because they wouldn't let you in there.
We wouldn't let you in. There were no visitors allowed.
So how soon before she saw me was she?
Oh, she saw you right away, I
Right away?
believe. Yeah. But
So-
again, she could tell you more about it.
Sure. Yeah, I'll definitely ask her some more questions about that
Mhm.
part of the story. So you guys get me home. You're brand new parents. I'm in the apartment.
Yep.
Then what? Do you remember how it felt to become a father for the first time? Was it weird? Did it blow your mind? Was it just business as usual?
No, it definitely wasn't business as usual because there's nothing usual about it. Something happened which never happened before. We had somebody else to look after because that was our responsibility, and you obviously couldn't take care of yourself for quite a while, if you remember. And
I'll take your word for it. I've heard the children are quite useless for the first little while.
Yeah, you know all about it for now yourself.
Yes.
No, definitely it was additional responsibility, additional time. And I think Mom was mostly involved with you because I still had my job and the university. She struggled with some things because before I took you out, we brought you out from the hospital, I had to buy the carriage and some stuff for you, like blankets and stuff. But we lived on the second floor, high second floor, if you remember, no elevator. So Mom had to carry that carriage with you in it to the street to go for the walk and carry it back.
I'm assuming it wasn't made of lightweight materials as
No.
modern carriages are. I picture a lot of steel.
No, it was fairly sturdy.
Sturdy?
Yes.
Sturdy and heavy?
Sturdy and heavy, and I still don't know how did she manage that, but she did.
So,
Luckily, probably the steps were not too steep, but it still she has to climb up the steps and go down. And the carriage obviously wasn't designed to go up and down the steps.
what did you guys have any help? Or was it just the two of you, or mostly Mom because you were busy with school and work?
I believe it was mostly Mom, but I think her mom came over, Rosa.
The first month?
Yeah. I believe she came over to help out, and obviously she did quite a bit, or it would be even more difficult.
I do recall some black and white pictures of Rosa holding me as when I was just born by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's probably where it came from. I don't know if I can't remember if I had a camera at the time, but somebody might have taken the pictures.
Yeah, there are some pictures of my first. I don't even know when it was, but I look fairly newishly born.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that went on for...
Yeah, I think what also happened, if I remember correctly, after the first few months, I think Mom took you to Gomel, so we could she could get some more help. Unfortunately, your grandfather on Mom's side did not live long enough to see you.
Yeah, he died just before I was born.
Yeah, he died when Mom was still pregnant. I think he passed away either September or October of 71.
So just a couple of months before I was born.
Just a couple of months at the most, if not less than that.
He died of complications after surgery of some sort, correct?
Yes, he had an ulcer from World War II time, which he suffered from for the rest of his life after the war. And he went through some treatments and finally went through surgery, which supposedly went well the first day or two, but when apparently it turned around that it was an infection from the surgery or something unexpected happened and he did not survive.
So I never got to meet him.
No, and he
Mom's
never got
dad.
to meet you.
Right.
Which he was always dreaming about because he had two daughters.
Right.
He was always hoping to have a son or grandson.
So Mom went back to Gomel to get some help from the family.
I believe so.
Would that have been early 72 or would it have been the summer of 72?
No, it wasn't. Honestly, it's a little bit vague. I know she had to pack that carriage with her onto the train. I believe it was quite an adventure by itself. I don't think it was winter. I have to go back and shake my memory a bit.
Sure, I'll ask
But
Mom
again,
about it.
yeah,
I'll ask
she
Mom about
remembers more about it because.
Well, how long was she gone for? Weeks, months?
If it was summer, she must have gone for longer than weeks. Because after that, every year, every summer, she was working. She was taking at least a month and a half or 2 months, like all the teachers did in summertime. And that's when she took you back to Gomel.
So I was there pretty much every summer after I was born?
For the first few years, yes.
Okay.
And when later on, when she was doing some work in summer camps for children, she took you with her.
Yeah, I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that for sure. I got some very foggy yet fond memories of summer camp.
Yeah.
Memories of playing football, memories of getting some sort of high top runners, some sort of sneakers.
Yeah.
And I was typically one of the younger kids because Mom just took me along, but it was a camp for older kids. And I kind of have memories of that as well.
Yeah, that was a camp actually for school kids.
Right.
Grade 1, 2, 3, maybe. And you obviously were not anywhere near that age at the time.
I remember. I think you came to visit once, and you brought dried salted fish.
Well, I came to visit every time you've been. I think it was she did it for 2 summers, and I visit you guys both times, obviously.
Well, I have memories.
It was 2 different places.
Yeah, I have memories of one of these summer camps where you came to visit, and we found some sort of creek with some rocks that we sat on, and you brought, I believe, wobla.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I'm not sure if it was the first time I ever tried it or one of the first times, but I remember I was having quite a hard time getting everything pulled apart to the point that I can eat it because it's quite a tough kind of fish jerky.
Especially for kids.
And I have vague memories of you helping me pull this fish apart so I can eat it.
Yep.
I'm not sure how much of that is true, but I definitely have memories of all that.
No, it must have happened because you wouldn't remember it for no reason.
Right. Well, I'm asking, do you remember that?
Not really.
Can you corroborate that story is where I'm going with this?
I'll support your story.
Okay, so no, the story is not officially corroborated. Okay, all right.
Well, I remember in one of the camps I played soccer with you and some guys from the camp, which was quite fun actually. You had fun doing that?
I do remember. Come on, let's call it football. Can't we just call it football?
Oh yes, sorry.
I do recall playing football.
Continent.
Yeah, I do recall playing football. Yeah, it seemed like that was one of the sports that everyone was really into at that camp.
Yep.
Okay. So, are there any stories that jump out from the first few years after I was born, or was it just kind of business as usual? You were finishing up your degree. How many more years of college did you have before you were done? After I was born?
I think you were born in 71, November 71, and if I'm not mistaken, I graduated in the summer of 74.
Okay.
So it was still 3 years to go.
Did taking care of me get any easier during that time, or not really? And what happened after a year? Did Mom go back to work?
Yeah, Mom went back to work. You went to the kindergarten. What was called kindergarten with kids of your age. So Mom usually took you to the kindergarten on the way to school, picked you up on the way back from school.
So it would have been daycare. It wouldn't even been kindergarten.
Well, it was daycare, but it was organized daycare with a big group of kids.
Yeah, I have vague, weird memories of Soviet daycare as well. That's a bit of a blur, but I do recall these giant rooms full of cots for nap time.
Yes.
And I remember there's a lot of rough kids around, if I recall.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Remember, for whatever it's worth, your memory in that sense, it's very much like yours, because I spent time in a Soviet daycare from age 3 to age 8. So I went through exactly the same thing. I remember this room where the nap cots were brought out in the middle of the day. Same thing.
Yeah, just vague, foggy memories. I bet you the system they used when you were young and when I was young hadn't changed too much.
No, not at all, if anything.
Yeah. Well, they were, 25 years apart? So you were 24, 25 when I was born?
I was 24 when you were born, and a few days after I turned 20. Yeah, I turned 25.
Right.
Because our birthday is only 4 days apart.
Right. And Mom was 24.
Mom was 20. Yeah, she was 24. She already turned 24 in October.
Okay. And were any of your friends having kids at the time, or did you kind of stop socializing or slow down on the socializing after I was born? Or was it full steam ahead on the party scene?
No, it was actually both of my close friends have kids about the same time. Everyone has only one kid. So everybody was kind of concentrating on what we had to do.
Right.
So we've been quite busy. We did meet every once in a while, but not all that often because it was just not enough time.
So not a lot of play parks or play dates back then.
Not really. Not at your age. As you get a little bit older, we used to go to the parks where was not really a playground like we know them here, but we just wandered around, looked at stuff.
Just public parks for everyone, not kid-specific public parks.
No, nothing was specifically kids-oriented. Not in the center of the city where we lived anyway. Sure. I don't think there was anything like that in the new developments either.
Okay. So you graduated in 74.
Yes.
And what changed after that? Because that took away your scholastic, like all the time that you spend doing school.
Yes.
But then I'm assuming that's when you started looking for full-time work.
No, I had full-time work.
It wasn't it was full-time during that whole time?
Yes.
And the school was more part-time?
The school was also full-time, but just in the evening.
Evenings.
Yeah, that's why my days were basically taken from 7 in the morning until 10, 11, or 10:30 p.m.
Before I forget, so you mentioned all your other friends only had one kid.
Yes.
So was that pretty typical for most people at that time?
At that time, it was pretty typical because of many issues. Most of them were living conditions, because all of my friends lived in communal apartments with not much room.
So part of it was just the space.
Space plus all of my friends were just regular working guys, so the money might have been an issue.
So
taking care of kids might have been an issue.
So just to kind of paint the picture again, you guys lived downtown Leningrad in a communal apartment, and you had 2 rooms.
Yes.
For yourselves. You turned one of those rooms into my room.
Yes.
And you guys had the other room. And the other room was dining room, bedroom, piano store. Like how are the 2 rooms kind of broken up? Like what was in one room, what was in the other room?
Well, the room which we made your room actually had a sofa bed, and it had a piano.
Okay.
And it had a big dresser where all the clothes were kept. The same in our room.
And I was in a crib at the time?
Well, you started in a crib, which you broke pretty quick.
Yeah, I remember trying to escape from that thing by rocking it back and forth.
You rock it, you jump up and down in it, and I think you broke it before you were turned 6 months old.
I recall being able to, because it was quite high up, right?
Well, it was...
Or at least, but from my perspective, I have vague memories of pushing it back and forth until it fell over.
Well, I don't think it fell over, it just you broke some of the surrounding...
Some of the railing?
Railing, yes.
Okay, so then where did I sleep after that?
Well, you still managed to sleep in there, but as you got older, in the summer when Mom went to Gomel with you, first summer, I can't remember exactly what it was, but you were already a little bit more independent from that crib. So I think you just slept in the bed.
Just regular?
Yeah.
Okay. I also recall there being a shtanga on the floor of that room.
Not shtanga, it was a kettlebell.
Oh, kettlebell.
Yes.
What's that called in Russian?
Gira.
Gira.
Yes.
Shtanga is like a barbell.
Yes.
Okay, so this was just a single kettlebell. Do you remember how much it weighed roughly?
Yes, 16 kilos, which is about 35 pounds.
Because I remember like deadlifting that thing. I don't remember what age I was, but I grab onto it with both hands, and I remember I could lift it, but I have no idea what age I was.
You did it, but before you lifted it, you used to roll it around.
Right. So damaging it? Did I damage? No.
No.
I don't mean damaging it. I meant damaging everything around me because it was made out of.
It was cast iron.
Cast iron, yeah.
No, I don't think there was much damage done. No, I don't believe so.
Like,
and you did. Don't get me wrong. You did roll it all across the room.
Sure. Okay. What else? What other kind of? So I had a piano in my bedroom, like a baby grand, if I recall, right? I think we talked about it before. So I had a piano. I had some weights. What else was in there?
No, weights were in our room. You had a big dresser.
Right.
You had a sofa bed there, and I believe there's also a big secretary desk.
Okay.
Whatever you call it.
Sure. Like an account.
With a lion's face on the legs. I don't know if it rings any bells.
No. It was like an accounting desk or something? Or
not accounting, it actually desk? We call it pisminy stall, like a writing table, but it was big. It was like a boss's table in some kind of big office.
A big fancy corner office. So what was in your room then?
In our room we had a dining table, chairs. We have in our little writing desk where moms used to study at. We had TV, refrigerator. We had another dresser where we kept our clothes and stuff. When we had a buffet where we kept all the dishes and stuff like that. And I believe that was about it.
Interesting. So I have very vague memories of how the whole apartment was laid out, but my memory of it was like the main entrance to the apartment that was closest to my room.
Yes.
And then the next room was yours.
Yes.
And then there was a bunch more rooms that weren't ours down a long hallway that led to the kitchen. And then the bathroom was through the kitchen. And then there was some sort of storage area.
Yes.
Okay, so...
Well, with the bathroom, the toilet was at the end of a corridor. It was separate. And
Bath was a separate room.
bath was a separate
Yeah,
room.
okay. I remember the bath. I don't remember the toilet room, but I remember the
Yeah.
room with the bathtub in
Yeah.
it. And I do remember the kitchen and then that kind of walk-in storage area where I think you hung up a swing for me once, or someone hung up a swing. I remember there was a swing
When doesn't ring a bell there?
inside the storage area. It was there.
Honestly, I don't remember, and I don't think there was much room for it way because it was basically just all kind of junk, not just ours. It was
Yeah, it was
for
communal.
all families.
Yeah, someone set up a swing in there because I definitely didn't set it up, but I remember using it. Maybe I'll ask Mom.
Ask Mom.
It
if
seemed
she
like a bad
remembers.
idea, but
It
I
was
think
a
I
great
enjoyed it.
idea because it was a lot of junk piled up on shelves there.
okay.
It wasn't a safe place.
Yeah.
But again, not many places were safe. The safety was not as well attended to as it is now.
When did I get my first bicycle? Because I remember a bicycle. I have pictures of it. Was it like was it an actual bicycle, or did you have me on a tricycle first?
Well, start like tricycle with training wheels at the back, and then it just
Okay, but it was a regular bicycle, and you put training wheels on it.
yeah.
Okay.
No, it came as a set of training wheels.
Right, but I never had a tricycle as a kid.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I don't
No.
recall a tricycle either.
No, you never had a tricycle.
So when did you get me that bike first? Do you recall?
Well, I think it was around when you were 3 or 4 years old.
Because I remember riding that thing
Yeah.
in the park across the street with
Yes.
the Pushkin statue.
Yeah, we have a picture of it.
Yeah, there's a few pictures of that.
Yeah.
I don't remember the training wheels though.
No, because in the pictures the wheels already gone.
Right.
I think you took up to the bike in pretty quick, so the training wheels were not there for a long time.
And what about skating? I remember you took me skating.
That I remember. I put you on skates when you were 3 years old.
And are those the kind of skates you kind of attach to boots?
With something, yes.
Like
with-
double blades?
I believe so, but no. I think we found your skates from one of the...
Some white figure skates.
No, it wasn't white figure skates. It was basically almost like a hockey skates, small, but it
Isn't
came...
there a picture of me with white figure skates?
Well, if you find it, it might refresh my memory. I don't recall that.
Okay.
And I remember when I put you on skates first time around. That was fun.
Tell me more.
It happened in a big public skating open area in one of the parks in Leningrad. It's a place me and my buddies when I was in school and grew up used to go to.
Do you remember what it was called, this park, or where it was?
ЦПКО, in Russian, Центральный парк культуры и отдыха, Central Park of Culture and Rest.
Fancy.
Something like that.
Sounds civilized.
It's actually a very big place, believe it or not. It had quite a few things going in, but in the winter time, we flooded some open places with a huge, really big skating areas where.
I remember a bit of the skating area, but I also remember a frozen ramp that you had to go up and down. And I
Yes.
remember when I was first learning, I found that ramp quite intimidating.
Yes. Beside those two big areas was a chain of little ponds, which stretch actually all along the park, which we also, which obviously were frozen. We also allowed the public skating on them, but obviously the ponds were slightly below the ground level. So yes, there was a ramp.
But I remember like this ramp back then seemed to be enormous. Like,
It was not a small ramp even by my standards.
okay, like to me it seemed like it was several hundred meters long.
Well, it was not that long, but it was long. Definitely look long to you. I can.
And it was steep and frozen, or it was steep for me on skates.
It was steep for you on skates because you still didn't have much control of it at the beginning. But again, you took up to skating pretty quick. And it was really, really crowded, and I put you on. Was always everybody skate in one direction, obviously, and it was counterclockwise, if I remember correctly. And was always I held you by the hand, and we try not to collide with anybody or fall on our faces.
That sounds pretty fun. Was it just skating, or was there hockey involved? Anyway,
No hockey involved at all.
No hockey.
No.
I remember biking, I remember skating, and then I guess I was either in daycare and eventually in kindergarten while you guys worked. That's kind of the routine we got into.
Yes.
And I remember, Mom will probably remember this better, but I'll ask her. But maybe you recall some of the story. I think it was preschool. It was some sort of kindergarten. I don't remember exactly where. But I remember it was cold, and there was this yard, an enclosed yard as part of this daycare facility. I have no clue how old I was. And I remember I got attacked by this large kid, and she was wearing some sort of sheepskin, and she was trying to wrestle me in the in this enclosed yard outside. And she was bigger than the adults that were there, at least in my memory she was. And I remember I bit her on the arm to get her off me, and I remember biting through the dublyonka, through the thick sheepskin. And I remember this girl who was trying to, in my mind, murder me. She started yelling and screaming, and then the teachers there called Mom at work, Mom came to get me. And after she got the story, she took me out of there for the rest of the day. And I remember her telling me that she was proud of me for defending myself, because I thought she'd be super mad.
No.
Because I left marks on this girl's hand because I bit through this thing.
That's the only way to deal with bullies.
Well, yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I think this large child was much older than the other kids, and they were also special needs. So
no, I understand that, but still...
Mom might know more of the details,
she
but
I know.
Yeah, do you recall anything from that story?
No, I don't remember that story. I remember a different one when Mom saw you being really punished by the daycare worker for whatever reason, but the punishment was rough. She had no right to do what she did. She actually pulled your hair, I believe. And that's when we took you out of this place and found another one for you. I don't know if it's related to the incident you just...
No. That was very different. And I do remember that. Yeah, one of my teachers was, if kids wouldn't... So this was a different place than the one I have memories of, where it was a big open space with cots. Mm-hmm. This was more of a smaller enclosed space for napping with bunks. Mm-hmm. And I remember the teachers would... And I could almost picture this teacher's face, because she was so mean.
Yes.
To this day. And I remember if the kids wouldn't sleep... Like, you couldn't even lay there quietly. If the kids wouldn't sleep, she'd start yelling at kids and, like, pulling hair. I remember getting my hair pulled.
That's one...
So I would have been 3 or 4 years old at that time.
No, younger.
Younger?
I believe it was, you were younger. You always been full of energy. So for you, napping in daytime probably was as difficult as it was for me, because I was the same when I was in kindergarten. I lay down, but I very seldom actually slept. No, you were younger than that, and I think Mom just happened to see. I don't think he ever told us about that, but Mom just happened, when he came to pick you up, she happened to see that specific incident.
To see the abuse in action?
Yes.
Okay.
It's very similar to when I took you out from gymnastic training, when I actually saw what's going on, but that's down the road.
Well, you know what? That is actually a perfect place to stop, because we're over an hour already. Why don't we pick up next time with gymnastics, because that's me at age what, 6,
With
7,
you at age
6?
6.
Okay. Well, let's stop it right there. I think we got a lot of stuff covered. Good stuff. We'll have to wait for the rest for part 7. Till next time.
Okay.
Shri Singa, Janri Singa, Jaya Janri Singa, Prahladesha Jaya Padma Mukta Padma Bringam, Shri Singa, Janri Singa, Jaya Janri Singa, Prahladesha Jaya Padma Mukta Padma Bringam.